We gotta air it out. Let's air it out. So we gotta air it out. Let's air it out. So
how do you say that? Air it out. Air it out.
Air it out.
What's going on, guys? This is the Air It Out Pro Football Podcast. So used to talking about RPO podcast. This is the Air It Out podcast, guys. The Pro Football Podcast, your favorite pro football podcast. I'm on too many podcasts, guys. I'm your host, Jerome Jones. We got Darren Braxton right here. How you doing, Darren?
Good, chilling, man. Just can't wait to talk more football, man. Gotta love this time, man.
Always. And we got my man Avery Collins right there at the bottom. How you doing, Avery?
Say year. How y'all doing? Yeah, man, what's good? Chilling.
Doing good. Always glad to talk some football with you guys, man, and always excited to talk to you. And I don't know, I got thrown off that intro because I'm still in college football mode.
It's still not as bad as you singing, so we good.
Appreciate that. So, guys, super excited to talk about football today. Last week we did some NFC, so we're gonna go AFC today, and let's get right into it because I don't want to waste no time. I want to get right into some football, so let's do it. Let's get right into AFC boom or bust. So this category is gonna talk about any player that we think is gonna either boom or bust for this season. I'm gonna start off with Avery Collins. Who do you think would be a bust or a boom in the AFC of this season?
Now, remind me again, is this, players going to a new team or just in general?
Just in general.
Okay. So, my boom player, I believe that a player in the AFC that's going to boom this year, it's kind of all right. So I'm gonna go with two guys. One, which is kind of it's kind of obvious because he actually had a pretty boom season last year, and that's Justin Herbert. I think he's gonna have a really good season this year. I think they did a great job in protecting him, getting him an offensive lineman to support him, and that's what you want to do with a young quarterback. You want to protect that guy. Obviously, you know his supporting cast with Keenan Allen and Mike Williams and different things like that. He's going to have a ton of weapons to throw to. So he's going to have his pick of the litter there. And so, like I said, I think that he's going to have a really, really, really good season. My next boom player for the AFC, and it really, this is dependent on how he's used. Okay. But I don't want it to sound. Just hear me out. Guys,
if you guys don't know what you're talking about, on our RPO podcast, Ray Roberts, we always do our top 10 list, and he always had a 10A and 10B every time. So that's what he's talking about over there. Thanks, Jacob, for being in the chat room, by the way.
I mean, because y'all know, like you said, he's my twin. So, you know. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, so I think, and this is like, there's nothing like as far as like concrete proof or fact or evidence that's giving me. It's just more just of a feeling. But I have a feeling it's between two players, but it's between Henry Ruggs and Carson Wentz. Now, again, I don't know why for either player. I mean, I can give you reasons for Carson Wentz, right? He's got a better offensive line. He'll probably have a better running game. The defense is obviously better than the situation. Indianapolis isn't as big of a market as Philadelphia, so the scrutiny and the pressure won't be as heavy and as high. They'll have some weapons, different things like that, right? So, I mean, but even still, it's a mindset thing with Carson Wentz, so there's no guarantee that the mindset has changed. So that's why it's such a question mark. And then with Henry Ruggs, I feel like they're going to figure out how to use him. I think what they tried to do last year was make him Tyreek Hill, and that's just not who he is, right? Tyreek Hill, I think people forget, is a really strong receiver as well, especially at the point of attack. And that's not Henry Ruggs. It's never been his strong suit. He's a route-running, speedster type receiver, right, who's great in open space. I think if they start using him more like a Deshaun Jackson, I think that they're going to get a lot more out of him, and I think that I just got a feeling that they've figured that out, and that he's going to have a really good season this year. So those are my two boom players. My Bucks player, I'm torn between a couple. But I'm not going to go there because I'm not going to go there. My Bucks player, my Bucks player is not going to be like a real bust. It's two guys. Exactly. Use him like a receiver. That's it, not just the decoy. So I think it's two players, two very young players. The first.
You're muted, sir.
No, I'm not muted. Y'all hear me?
Huh?
You hear me? Darren, you hear me? Jerome, you hear me? We good? All right.
Yeah.
So the first one isn't really a bust per se. He's just going to have a down year. And I'm going to go with Joe Burrow. Off the strength of one, he's coming off an injury. Two, they didn't get him the offensive lineman that we really thought they were going to get him. Obviously they got him a weapon, but they didn't get him an offensive lineman that we thought they were going to get him. So I'm concerned with that, right? Like that's your quarterback, and you didn't protect him with arguably the best lineman in the draft. And then number two, Zach Wilson. I'm just not sure about him. I'm not saying that he's trash because I don't think he's I didn't see enough tape, right? I didn't watch enough film and do enough homework, but I'm just not sure about the guy in New York. And I don't know. Now, they did a ton for him, way more than they did for Sam Darnold in his tenure there. But I'm not sold on Zach Wilson yet, and so I'm gonna have to see it. And so until I see something, I think he's gonna have a pretty rough time out there in New York, especially in the division that he plays in.
Okay. All right, Darren, who you got?
Thank you. So it's finally my turn.
Hold on, talk. No Ravens. No, I'm joking.
No. Surprisingly enough, I don't actually have any Ravens for this one.
Ooh,
next
first
one.
time for
Of
everything.
course, you ain't got no Ravens for this.
Boomer bust. So listen here. Boomer bust for me is really simple. You got two guys that really need you kind of got to look out for. And to be honest, I don't want either of them to bust because it really is going to deter their growth. But first guy, Derwin James. And Derwin James, boomer bust, is not because of ability. We all know what he can do on the field. That's without question. But a bust will be for him to get injured again. And that's why I said one of the things of I don't want these busts to happen because it's going to derail the progress and it's going to continue to set these guys back. And these guys have very, very high ceilings. Derwin James being one of them. My second guy is Tua. Tua boomer bust. He has Devontae Parker. He has Jalen Waddle. His offensive line is getting upgraded around him. Yes, he should have got a running back. But I do believe the running back by committee will work for Miami right now. As well, that defense that they have is going to help him stay in games. So all he has to do is show that he can be a competent starting quarterback who will win you games and not derail your season. If he can show me that first and then go into the can he be a superstar stratosphere? Can he be an elite quarterback? We'll talk. But until he shows that he can do it for a full entire year, we still don't know about Tua. He had too many back and forths with Ryan Fitzpatrick last year, and that's a little worrisome. So, boom and bust, Tua, Derwin James.
Okay. I'm going to give you my two guys. So, a guy that I think is going to boom this year, this guy coming off an injury, he's hungry. New into the year, I think, to the league. I think this is his fourth year. Coming off an 8-sack year, Mr. Bradley Chubb. I know somebody that knows him personally, and just hearing from him, he's hungry, and I can't wait to see him back on the field. And Von Miller, he's coming off an injury as well. He's getting a little long in the tooth, and I can't wait to see him take off. Chris says also Cam Newton and Pats are going Matt Jones in the future years and his last shot to prove him as a starter. I believe it. I do agree with that. I like that. But speaking of Cam Newton,
Cam's
for
gonna
my bus guy, he's actually on that same team. Somebody that is new to the New England Patriots, somebody that I know very personally. I think it will be Nelson Aguilar. Reason why is that I don't see him. I think they're going to be trying to use him as if he was a top receiver in New England, and I just think it's not going to work for him. I do think N'Keal Harry's going to have a better year, and all the weapons that they just grabbed with those tight ends that they got, Hunter Henry and Johnny Smith. I think they're going to be the primary targets for Cam Newton in this offense, and they're going to run a lot of 12 personnel. Which means that there's not going to be a lot of slot receiver, and Nelson Aguilar need to be a slot receiver. I personally think so. I just think that I don't think Aguilar is going to have a better year than he had last year. He's going to be a contributor, I believe, but I don't think that he's going to have the year that he probably think he's going to have being with the New England Patriots. And plus that, I heard that offense is very tough to grasp and up there. So, Avery, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, so two things. One, Nelson Aguilar is actually one of the smarter receivers in the league. Like, nobody's ever questioned his IQ or able to get, grasp an offense or anything like that. So I don't think he's gonna have a problem with that. And then two, I agree with you. I don't think that he should be looked at as a top receiver, but because of the points that you just made with Johnny Smith and everything like that, I think it's going to be a lot more. I think he's going to do what he did in Oakland, in Las Vegas. I think he's going to be a guy like a Dante Stallworth. Just go deep. Because we let's not forget, Nelson Aguilar ran sub 4.4 at the combine. He's not a slow receiver, right? So I think that's what's going to happen. I think he's going to be that deep threat receiver. Harry is obviously the route running receiver. He's going to be the guy doing the intermediate to short routes and stuff like that. So I think that's what's going to happen there. And then obviously they're going to have the check downs in the tight ends, but they're obviously going to be a run heavy team. But I agree with your assessment. 100 through and through, he should not be considered a top receiver, and his numbers will probably reflect that.
Yeah, there.
I'm gonna add one guy, and this is just for Darius, Jacoby Myers. Do not be surprised if he shows out to be a great number 2 receiver.
I agree with that.
In camp already, he's shown in the past that he can be a reliable target to where even Tom Brady trusted him to a point. Yeah. So you got to understand the guy has skills, and he's going into now his 3rd year, which is really when he's going to take that leap off of the and truly show out, especially with what they have around.
And Cam Newton shows some trust in him.
And Cam is going to have a full off season. He's going to know the playbook. He's going to do some things this year, and especially if they're going to be run focused. Mm-hmm. It's going to be very, very interesting to see.
I agree. I can't wait to see that. Speaking of Cam Newton, last year Cam Newton was a new guy to the New England Patriots. So we're gonna talk about some AFC guys that are new to their team, and so new team, new shine. So let's see. I want to know what new player on a new team will shine this year. And Darren, I'm gonna start with you with that. Who do you think will be the shining player in the AFC?
All right, so I got a couple, so I'll make them quick for you. First off, I will go with Jadeveon Clowney. New player, new shine, and you got to understand him paired up with Myles Garrett and what they're starting to build in that secondary for the Browns is going to be very, very tough for my Ravens to deal with. But I'm very excited to see what happens because if Myles Garrett can truly continue to get the double teams and triple teams that sometimes he gets, let's see if Clowney can truly get a double-digit sack season. That would be his first double-digit sack season he gets if he can do it. And he will have enough single coverage as he's not the main threat. They have enough experience in that defense to truly do something special. Second being Orlando Brown, former Raven. Now with the Chiefs, he goes from protecting one of the most agile and elusive guys to one of the, honestly, the most complete quarterbacks in the entire NFL. And it's not even fair. Him having Orlando Brown as the as basically his main protector, there's nothing else going to happen to Patrick Mahomes. I feel as though he's going to do great with him. He did amazing stepping in for Ronnie Stanley, and then coming into the league as a 3rd-round pick when he should have been a first. and defending the right tackle spot like he did for us on them 2 to 3 years, great. So I feel like he'll definitely shine. Julio Jones is without question definitely going to shine on the Titans. That's just without stating, but I had to put it in there. Come on now, Julio, that's just going to be too nice to see. I can't wait to see it. And last but not least, this is where the Ravens come in from. Rashad Bateman. I feel like this kid really has something special. I would not be surprised if this becomes one of the third wide receivers ever to have 1,000 yards for the Ravens.
All right, Avery, what do you think?
He had to throw them Ravens in there, didn't he? He had to.
Had to throw one.
Yeah.
Now, so I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with it's a new team, but it's like new team as in they just got drafted. So I'm gonna start there. Najee Harris. I think Najee Harris is going to have a phenomenal year. I know that with the whole offensive line, there's going to be questions and everything like that. But one of the best ways to get a young offensive line acclimated into the NFL is to run the football, right? It gets them into the game, and we all know linemen how they are. I'm trying to bang, right? I'm trying to get physical, get contact. It makes you feel part of the game, feel like part of the game, and different things like that. So I think it's going to be a run-heavy team with Najee Harris, who can he can tote the rock. Obviously, he can catch off the back foot as well. So he's going to take some pressure off of Ben in that regard. So I think Najee Harris is going to have a really, really good season. I can see somewhere around Antonio Gibson type numbers, maybe even more rushing yards, though. Maybe not as many receiving yards, but more rushing yards, and definitely more touchdowns. I think rushing wise, not receiving wise. So I think he's going to have a really good season. Number two, I kind of already referenced him a little bit. Like I said, I'm still not, but it is really, like I said, it all depends on mentality. But I think Carson Wentz has a really good year this year. Like I said, he's got a defense that he knows he can trust. He's got an offensive line and Carson's one of those guys who kind of holds the ball a little too long. So now you got an offensive line who can actually protect you just a little bit longer. You've got a running game and a great tandem with Hines and Stewart and all those guys. So I think it's going to be good. He's got weapons. He's got a veteran receiver in T.Y. Hilton who knows how to get open as long as he can stay healthy. I think that's going to be something that's going to be really, really, really good there. I was going to say Julio, but again, that's obvious, right? Like he's Julio, right? It doesn't matter where he goes. He's going to make any quarterback look good. So I'm going to go with somebody who kind of I'm gonna go with somebody who kind of went under the radar here, and I think this is actually a very underrated signing. But I'm going to go with Emmanuel Sanders. I think Emmanuel Sanders is going to have a really good season. You pair him with one of the best receivers in the league at this point, right? Like let's just call it what it is. He's arrived. He is one of those guys. Stephon Diggs is phenomenal. So I think you pair him with one of the best receivers in the league. Josh Allen looks to be progressing as a passer. Obviously, we don't expect him to make the leap from that he made from the prior year to last year. I don't think the leap is going to be as high going into this year, but I still think he takes another step. And with that being said, you get, like I said, a veteran receiver, somebody who can still run routes, somebody who can still create separation. He's pretty short-handed. He's a great locker room guy and a great leader. I think Emmanuel Sanders has a really good year and scores anywhere between 8 to 10 touchdowns with anywhere between 8 to almost 1,000 yards. I think he has a really good season in Buffalo.
Definitely. My guy is going to be – you guys might already know what I'm about to say. My guy, I've been talking about this all offseason. I love what this team did to this particular position. And it will be the LA Chargers, their offensive line, grabbing Corey Linsley. That's a smart center that's going to help a young quarterback and be able to teach all the offensive linemen. They just got Rashard Slater, so he's going to be able to teach him how to play in the NFL, as well as being that vocal leader for them. I got to play under Aaron Rodgers, so he knows how what MVP quarterback needs in the offensive line. I think that was such a great signing. And LA Chargers, man, look out for them because now they got an offensive line. And I believe Justin Herbert was the third most sacked quarterback last year, if I'm not mistaken. So I think that was a great signing. He's only 30 years old, so he got a good 3 or 4 years left, maybe even more than that, depending on how he holds up with his body. And, you got a big, massive, young offensive lineman on the left side. I'm telling you, this Chargers team is going to be really, really good. They got weapons. They got offensive line now. They got running backs. They got a good defense. Look out for them, man. I'm excited to see what they do. So I'm going to go with Lindsay with that one. And with our final topic, we're going to talk about some AFC camp battles. So this is going to be some battles that are going through camp. Maybe it's a quarterback versus a quarterback, or receiver versus receiver, or whatever. Any kind of camp battle. So Avery, I'm gonna start with you with this one. What camp battle are you very excited to see in the AFC?
Well, I'm gonna start with receivers. We kind of referenced this earlier. I'm gonna start with the New England Patriots. Who emerges as the number one? Right, you've got the veteran and Nelson Aguilar. You've got N'Keal Harry, who's coming into his fourth year, I believe, third or fourth year. And obviously you got I just got his name.
Jacoby.
Thank you, Jacoby Myers, who proved to be Cam's one of, if not the number one target for Cam Newton last year, right? And obviously they built a relationship with that chemistry. So who's going to be the number one? Who's going to emerge and show like, I'm the guy that teams need to cover, right? Or is it going to be a situation like with the LA Rams where there's no true number one? It's like we're going to spread it out. We're going to really just move everybody around so much that you really can't key in on any one player or anything like that. So it's going to be interesting to see, that camp battle and see how that plays out and everything like that. The next one, it's going to sound funny, but I'm going to go with the Miami Dolphins in Byron Jones and Xavier Howard, right? If Xavier Howard does decide to play, is he considered the number one guy because he's having some issues with his contract situation, right? Does Byron Jones take some more of the leadership role, right? Does he become like a captain on the back end or something like that? So who becomes like the true number one there? I know it's kind of reaching it a little bit there, but I'm just curious to see how that situation plays out. Down there in Miami, it's going to be, for me at least, it's going to be pretty interesting. And then last but not least, same thing, receivers. I'm going to go with the Bengals. Who's going to be the number one? AJ Green is no longer there. So you got Tyler Boyd. You would figure he's going to be the number one, right? But at the same time, they did just draft Jamar Chase, and he's no slouch. The guy can straight up ball. We saw last year Justin Jefferson proved he's the number one guy in Minnesota, right? Even though Adam Thielen was the veteran, but Justin Jefferson proved I'm the number one here. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out and see if there's going to be some controversy as far as like who's going to be the number one receiver out in Cincinnati. So that's going to be, interesting to see for me.
Definitely. Darren, who you got?
So real quick, don't forget T. Higgins, man.
Yeah.
T. Higgins had a great rookie season.
Yeah.
Especially after the Joe Burrow situation, he still was producing.
That's very true.
Oh, do not forget about T. Higgins.
It'll be very, very, very interesting wide receiver battle there. Very interesting.
So mine's kind of a little bit similar, but a little different at the same time because I will start off with another wide receiver battle, Ravens. And I'm not just doing it because it's the Ravens, but you have to understand, you got Sammy Watkins, you have Rashad Bateman, you have Marquise Brown, you have Tyler Wallace, you have all these different pieces. Now you have to figure out who's going to be the number one, who's the number two, who's the best at the slot. How are we going to use these pieces and utilize them in the best way to make Lamar Jackson a better passer? That's the goal. You got all these weapons in the offseason, all these things that you've been trying to build on. Now they have to prove what they can do and make Lamar better as well as Lamar making them better. So that's definitely number one for me. Number two is actually one that I think a lot of people is a little shy on, but Jacksonville Jaguars running back battle. Travis Etienne, James Robinson. Remember, James Robinson just came into the league as an undrafted free agent and had over 1,000 yards. Over 1,000 yards on top of his receiving numbers. This guy came in the league, had double-digit touchdowns as an undrafted rookie running back. He became that Jacksonville Jaguars offense. Then they go and draft the first-round running back in Travis Etienne, who is going to be a home run threat and a great player, but is he going to start over James Robinson? Is he going to throw him fully? Or is he just going to become a pass-catching back? what is going to be the role with those two? That's another one that I really feel is like a great battle. And this one is for my man Darius, and we gotta mention this one. We already kind of nipped on it and talked about it a little bit, but Cam Newton, Mac Jones, Patriots quarterback battle. Listen, you say it's not a battle, but if Mac Jones is the guy that Belichick really wants, and he feels as though he can produce, that is going to be a guy that he's going to look for. Yes, Cam is obviously the better player right now, but in that training camp battle, can Mac Jones show enough to dethrone Cam Newton? I don't think he can, but it's going to be great to see if he can. It's going to be great to see if he can.
Listen, man, I'm listen. As much as an Alabama fan as I am, Alabama, name the last successful Alabama quarterback, right? Like, I mean, we're still going to see Jalen Hurts, but is he considered an Alabama quarterback for Oklahoma? AJ McCarron didn't really pan out. So not really too many. And then Tua, we're waiting to see what's going to happen with Tua, right? There's not too many Alabama quarterbacks, and this is not a slight against, but that's not really what they do. Now, granted, they've kind of turned the tide. They're starting to spread the ball out more. They're starting to throw the football more, a little bit more of a pro-style offense. But I gotta see something. Number one. Number two, a lot of their playbook is really predicated on, we're going to be physical. We're going to run the football. I don't know if that's what's going to happen in New England. I'm not sure, but I gotta see Mac Jones show me that he can do it. Like, he's got to show me. I've seen Cam do it, and I think he's just going to be. I think it's going to be a situation where Cam is going to have to struggle. He's going to have to lose the starting job. I don't think it's a competition. I think he's going to have to lose the starting job during the season. Like, that's just kind of how I see it.
I agree with that, AB. But I wish y'all just leave Tua alone, man. Y'all are dogging my man. Like,
well, I'm just saying we gotta see, because we haven't seen, right?
Yeah.
There's not enough film for us to say, okay, whether or not he's going to be good or bad. I mean, he had like Darren kind of alluded to, he had an off and on season, kind of going flipping back and forth with Ryan Fitzpatrick, getting pulled and then going back in and all different things. So there's not too much of a measuring, tape for us to see and say, yeah, Tua's going to be great. And then you have people comparing him to the likes of Justin Herbert and Joe Burrow, who were balling. So it's just like, he's never going to be able to get out of that shadow. So it's like, you got to produce.
And Tua had his moments. That's what people don't want to really give him time for. He had his moments.
As a rookie that just came off a hip injury that didn't play in the offseason, didn't have any offseason training or anything like that.
Exactly. And that's why I say he's definitely going to produce this year as the Boomer Bust guy. But this is going to be the true test. Whether or not he can be that guy we've seen at Alabama and come into the NFL and dominate. You've seen his competitors and his peers already doing it. And now that he should be fully healthy from the hip injury, he's had a full offseason, really work with everyone, and really get into the playbook and know that he's the guy going in. That should truly boost his confidence and show whether or not he can do it.
Better offensive line, better weapons. Running game looks not better, but
solid
like it was. Great defense. I think he would have to be a complete bust not to be at least somewhat successful, or just as good as they were last year at least. I can't see them being any worse than that. Which is funny because one of my Eagle friends, he's like hoping the Dolphins be bad this year because we had the first round pick. I'm like, dude, they're not gonna be that bad. Trust me, we're not gonna be that bad. I'm telling you, Miami's a different team than they were like 3-4 years ago. Trust me, that is a completely different team. So for my camp battle, I'm gonna go with two players real quick. Jacob says best AFC battle. Texans fan trying to stay awake during games. Oh my goodness, Jacob, you out of pocket, my man. You are out of pocket. My camp battle for the AFC is two players that Inside the Hatches is very familiar with. We actually interviewed these two players, so they're in a battle. One's going in his third year, one's going in his second year. This is a team that's going to be, I think, is going to be very successful this upcoming year, and this position is going to be very key to their success, and that will be the Buffalo Bills and having Devin Singletary versus Zach Moss. Zach Moss was in his rookie year last year, got injured toward the end of the year, but I think that they're going to be in a battle. Devin Singletary is not slated to be a starter for them, so I'm very interested to see if Zach Moss has something to say about being a starter there. And they also added Matt Breida, so there might be just a straight three-headed rotation there. Who's going to be taking most of the snaps? Everybody knows Matt Breida can, take a lot of snaps from a running back. He did that in San Fran. Some games he had breakout when he, and then they kept him in the games. And, so like I said, Devin Singletary is not like he's penciled in as a starter, but he's not pinned in as a starter. So we'll see. I'm very curious to see what happens there, because that's the one position on offense that they might need them at that position, and especially if they actually get Zach Ertz. I'm hearing that there's rumors that the Eagles might trade him to Buffalo, and it might be very close. So I'd be very intrigued to see how that running back position goes from there. You guys agree?
Listen, no complaints here. No complaints.
No, that's a good take. I can agree with that. It'll definitely be something to look out for. Like you said, who's going to be getting the majority of the snaps, right? I think they'll probably end up being like Breida will probably end up being more of the third down guy. I think he's shown to be very short-handed throughout his career. I think he'll be more the third down guy, but even still, like you said, he can run the football. So it'll be interesting to see, who emerges as the guy.
Yeah, I think Zach Moss. Say again on there.
The thing about it like this, it's going to be a thunder and lightning situation no matter how you spin it, because Matt Breida, they brought him in to be that lightning as fast as he is. And then you have guys like Zach Moss and Devin Singletary who can take it in between the tackles very well and still break the long game. So the thunder and lightning system, that's what they're kind of looking for, I think. And that's what they're trying to see, who's going to be that thunder, Zach Moss or Devin Singletary.
Yeah, definitely interesting. Definitely going to be interesting. I can't wait to see it. That's a good battle. Like I said, I think Buffalo's going to have a pretty good year, though. So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see. Can't wait.
Yeah, I'm very intrigued with that team, because we all know, like, Josh Allen, he's going to be part of that running game too, which is going to take away from him too. He's been getting red zone carries too, so he's already going to be a factor in there. Zach Moss is more of the end zone running back. Matt Breida, like you guys said, the slasher, catch out of backfield kind of guy. Devin Singletary have a little bit of mixture of all of them, but he's not. It's weird because he's not great at any of them. He's good at all of them, but he's not great at any of them. So it's like you know what I'm saying. So I'm very intrigued with that situation. I'm very, very intrigued with that. But guys, that's gonna do it for us today. We had a little short podcast today, but we do thank everybody for being in here. Shout out to Chris. Shout out to Jacob for being here. Thank you guys for coming in and checking us out. Guys, make sure you check us out on our website, InsideTheHatches.com. You can find all our content. We have podcasts, we got blogging, we got gaming, we got fantasy football coming up. So make sure you check that out. These two fools are going to be in it, battling out. So we're going to see who's going to be number one this year. So I'm very excited to see who wins that. That's going to be really cool to see. Also, check us out on all our podcast platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. Players like Devin Singletary and Zach Moss, guys that we interviewed. You can listen to all those interviews on there if you just search Inside the Hatches and look for those players. You have all our interviews on there. Also, make sure you go check us out on YouTube. Please, if you're on YouTube right now, please like and subscribe and hit that notification bell to know when we go live. If you're not watching live right now, and make sure you share it. Let your friends know, hey, look, check out this podcast. We love the podcast. This is your favorite your favorite pro football podcast. So make sure you let your friends know that it's your favorite pro football podcast as well. So you get it all, get all the mix in there, man. Help us out. So thank you guys for being on, man. We really do appreciate each one of you guys. I'm Jerome Jones. We got Darren Braxton right there. We got Avery Collins. Thank you guys so much, and we see you next week. Peace.
Matt Ryan for president.